It's the end of the month, which can only mean one thing. It is time to answer your guys' comments. So we have 10 of them here. It's your comments. 10 thoughts, questions, concerns that you guys have, you guys, the audience, from videos that you've left in the month of May. I do this every single month. So if you got any questions, leave them down below and we'll get to them next month. What the heck's the next month? June. We'll get to them in June, man. But let's start off with this first comment. It's a hate comment, dude. I love it. I don't get very many hate comments, so let's get into it, dude. FlexMet, whoa, cool guy named FlexMet. He says, drop a bunch of books on the ground and make a video. Maybe pop open some of the books for a look inside would be more interesting rather than hearing you prat on about what you think is cool. So this guy commented, FlexMet, cool name, by the way. I don't know if I said that. Really cool guy here. He says, he comments this right on my video where I did my comic room cleanups. If you guys caught that video, I just had a bunch of piles all around my room that I needed to put away onto the shelves. I kind of use that as an opportunity to do like a comic book room tour, man. So FlexMet, you're kind of an idiot, buddy. Hate to say it. With a name like FlexMet, who could have guessed you're an idiot? So essentially he's like yelling at me, yo, you didn't open up any of the books when you're showing. I'm not gonna open up 40 books, dude. I have to get them on my shelf. The point of the video is to get them on the shelf. A video where I go over like the art of a book, that's usually for like reviews, right? Overviews. Hey, this is what I'm reading this month. Let's check out some of the art. So there's opportunities to look at the art, buddy, but that's not one of them. This one was just a room tour, dude. So if you don't like the way I make videos, you're welcome to make your own, buddy. So yeah, thanks for the comment, FlexMet. Really look forward to hearing from you in the future, dude. I love it. Next comment, we've got Super H Secrets. He says, wow, great selection of books. Collecting comics is hard work. So absolutely, collecting comics is like a whole other job, dude. So compared to other hobbies, I'm trying to think, right? You know, like you collect cards and stuff like that. You got to protect the cards. You buy like the little protectors and all that stuff. But I feel like comics is like a whole other thing, right? They take up more room. Okay, they can either take up a giant shelf or they take up long boxes. They can be pretty pricey, you know? But then there's like that whole other thing of keeping them organized. You got to read the thing, right? If you buy the card, you got the card. You don't have to do anything else, right? You play games with the card or whatever. But when you buy a book, when you buy a comic book, you got to read them. So that's like extra work too. But that's why we do it, man. We love it. So collecting comics is a lot of hard work, but it's awesome, dude. It's awesome work. So thanks for the comment, Super H Secrets. Danny Lely says, how'd you like the one hand and 6 fingers, dude? So the one hand, 6 fingers, let me grab it from the shelf. If I can find it. If it takes like 2 seconds to find it, I'll grab it. If not, here we go. So you're talking about the one hand, the 6 fingers. So this is obviously the collaboration series between Ram V, Dan Waters writing it. A ton of great artists collaborating as well. But this story is really great because it's a serial killer story where you get the view from the detective and then you get the perspective from the serial killer itself. So kind of like this cat and mouse chasing game. If you like that movie, Catch Me If You Can. Is that what it's called? Catch Me If You Can? You know, Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hanks, love that movie. Kind of like that vibe, right? But kind of like in a futuristic Blade Runner sort of setting. I really like the one hand, 6 fingers, so definitely recommend picking it up. If you haven't yet, it's all released in this one trade. And you get that both conflicting art styles, you get that back and forth cat and mouse kind of game. Really cool stuff. So that's the one hand, 6 fingers. Moving right along. XBiffkin says, do you read all the comics you buy? And do you really have excitement / urge to read them every week? Like you can't wait to read them? So right now I'm in a good place with my pull list. I got to go over it. Maybe like there's some series that have ended, maybe add some that I want to add to my pull, but my pull list is in a really great spot right now. Every single thing I buy every week that I show you guys in a video is something that I'm interested in reading, right? You could argue that maybe some of the DC series, like if I wasn't making videos, I probably wouldn't have kept up to date with the Batman Superman World's Finest series, stuff like that. Like there's some series that I necessarily don't feel the need to pull, but I still want to read them if they were on DC Universe Infinite, right? So, but for all the indie stuff, dude, indie's on fire, man. I'm looking for great stories and the indie's where it's at. So all the indie stuff, I have the urge to read for sure. You could argue some of the DC, you know, maybe I'm not as excited to read them week to week, like Batman Hush 2, for example, right? Like I'm not looking forward to reading Batman Hush 2, but I'm reading it for the channel. I plan to make a Hush 2 sort of video at the end of it. But Johnny Retro 64 says, how are the Universal Monster comics? So you're talking about Universal Monsters at a Skybound Image. We've got Dracula, we've got Creature from the Black Lagoon, and we've got The Mummy. Yeah, The Mummy, that's out right now. And then we also had Frankenstein too, the Michael Walsh one. So out of those 4, dude, I think they've knocked them all out of the park. They're all really great. None of them were longer than 4 issues, man. So if you wanted to just do a nice, quick horror monster kind of reads, I think these are perfect. And I'm really glad that they brought it back. I think it's a really cool initiative, cool idea that they got. And then Invisible Man's coming up soon. So James Tynan IV with Danny on the art. So really cool stuff with Invisible Man coming up soon. So that's what we got. Thanks for the comment, Johnny Retro 64. Next up, we got Reed Mauser 1081. He says, as a teenager who can't drop a bag on comics every week, your videos help me narrow down which ones to pick up. Love your stuff. So thank you so much for commenting, Reed Mauser. He's saying that, yo, since I'm a teenager, can't drop a bag. That's tough, dude. I would recommend definitely make sure you get your library card, man. So you can read a ton of comics that way. Obviously, you know, hopefully my videos help you kind of narrow down what's out there, because there's a ton of stuff out there, dude. You can really get lost in all the single issues, but glad to hear my videos are helping out. That's kind of the goal of them, trying to help new readers get into the comic book hobby. And another thing too, you know, make sure you check out, you get a library card, you get Hoopla, you can read a ton of stuff online, so I'd recommend that as well. But yeah, man, a ton of options available if you're a teenager who doesn't have a ton of money to read comics without pirating, you know what I'm saying? Next up, we got Benny Favela. He says, what's the first comic you ever read? Mine was Frank Miller's Daredevil run. They had him collected in high school library, and he's been hooked ever since. So the first comic book that I remember reading very vividly, maybe I read some other stuff before that, but it was an issue of Batman Confidential. Issue number, I have it here, issue number 27. It's a Batman Confidential was like a short, creative teams would jump on and do like short, you know, 3-issue little arcs featuring Batman, all sorts of different creative talent attached to it. But at the time, I jumped on with number 27, and I was trying to like get the issues before it, get the issues after it. But I remember it stood out to me because it was Batman working with the Riddler, and from that moment, the Riddler was like my favorite Batman villain for the longest time. I don't know why I was interested. He's green, you know, I like the color green. He's got like a cane and stuff like that. I don't know why I was so obsessed with the Riddler, but that always will stick out to me. Batman Confidential number 27, when Batman has to get the help from the Riddler to catch King Tut. So pretty interesting read there. So that was the first one that I can remember reading. Next up, we got BB Elder. He says, kind of along the same vein, right? He says, what book that you have, what book that you have means the most to you, collected or singles? We're gonna go collected edition, right? So I've got this from way back, and then I don't need to show you, but you guys know what the Walking Dead Compendium is, right? The Walking Dead Compendium 1, that's gotta be my most sentimental collected edition, because that's like the first collected edition I remember my mom getting me. It kind of started me on this journey. It kind of opened my eyes like, hey, here's what indie comics are like, and then jumped on the Walking Dead series, reading all the compendiums. So that was like the first main collected edition I can remember getting. But the other one from way back in the day, dude, my grandpa got me this, the Untold Legend of the Batman. Just like a little black and white, little Batman stories here. Got it from, my grandpa got it from me back in Omaha, Nebraska when I used to live there. So, of course I did my own art on the covers and everything. Wow, really cool. But the cool thing about this is it's got written by Lynn Wein, illustrated by Jim Aparo and John Byrne. So I was getting exposed to the legends of the comic book world very early on. But yeah, just a quick little black and white. I remember reading this quite often. Loving the look for Batman there with the Jim Aparo artwork. So this is another collected edition that I've always had in my collection. Always keep it close by, you know what I'm saying? So got that, and then the Walking Dead Compendium. Gotta be my most, collected edition that means the most to me. Couple more here. It's Keith Comics. He says, as a big Superman fan, this has probably been the most prominent year of the character in my life, and I love it. Dude, I'm with you, man. Superman on top, best superhero of all time. Quickly becoming a favorite of mine, more so than Batman, probably. Batman for the nostalgic reasons, but everything Superman stands for. He's got the best DC stories. Some of them are Superman stories, right? So I've been loving Superman. He's in all forms of media except for video games for the most part. We got Really great TV show with my adventures with Superman. I think that's what it's called. We got the movie coming out. The comics are on top. The comics are so sick. So yeah, man, it's a great time to be a Superman fan. Superman on top, dude. I'm here for it. Thanks for the comment. It's Keith. Last comment here, guys, and get you out of here. Joseph Sandler in 23 says, or 29, he says, bro, I don't have a comic book store in my city and it's pissing me off. So that sucks, dude. Hate to hear that. Back in the day, I didn't have a comic book store either. I used Midtown Comics online. Definitely check them out. You can do a pull list through them. And that's kind of how I had a local comic book store, but it's Midtown Comics. They ship them out to you. I think I would get them on like Friday instead of Wednesday, you know what I'm saying, through the mail. So definitely check out Midtown Comics if you don't have a comic book store. Hate to hear it, dude. And also, that other advice applies, you know, get your library card, get Hoopla, get Global Comics, get some DC Universe Infinite. You can still be reading comic books even if you don't have a local comic book store. But yeah, dude, that's what we got. 10 comments, questions, and concerns from you guys, the audience. If you got any more, leave them in the comments. We'll get to them in June. Thank you guys for watching it. Read more comics.